Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman. This is take 2 of my stream. I had some internet issues, so this might be a little disjointed for this week. Those of you who stuck around, thanks. I don't know what's going on with my internet, if my connection's any good. I honestly have no idea. Like upstairs, it seemed fine. I have kind of a funky setup with my internet that'll probably need to improve. I probably should hardwire it to my actual cable modem, which is way up a couple floors in my house. So that'll be a fun project later. Anyway, getting back to what we were doing, I was working before so rudely interrupted by the internet connection issue with on Flash messages, and so we had our local server. I'm not going to re-describe the Flash messages. Maybe I'll just leave that as a separate YouTube clip. We'll see what they look like in practice, and people will get up to speed pretty quickly here. So let's take a look what port we're on now. Still 5006. And we can see if we can get right back into the swing of things. So we were trying to style this thing to make it look good. And I think what I want to do, probably want roughly an equal amount of space above and below the message so it feels at home, doesn't feel awkward. So let's inspect this for a moment and see what we've got. We've got a certain amount of padding on it. There is some margin there, but the margin is clearly not the same as the margin above. So let's try it. Let's try adjusting the margin to a bigger number, and then let's fit it into where it actually goes with this template stuff below. Right now we've just been kind of messing with it. So let's try 12. Is that a number that works? I can't remember. So that looks pretty close. Might even be too much. About 10. Yeah, that feels good. So this gives us a nice little message here that we can work with when we have form submissions and that sort of stuff. We'll be able to say, yeah, we saved your form, or no, there's an error in your form. You need to fill in whatever field. That might be general. Okay, let's slot this into where it goes with the actual template stuff, or maybe the better way to do it is just bring this stuff around it and then delete the other. I mean, it's kind of equal in the approach, but I'll feel better about moving it here because it's easier to read the for loop and the if messages than it is to read the block stuff. Okay, so now we've got that. So what should happen is this should go away because there's no messages here. So let's try and make a message. Let's log out. Oh, good. We already have an example. This must be the old one that was there that never fully processed. So we have logged in as mattlehman.com, as matt@example.com. That was the old message. Oh, you know what it is? No, it's not, because I never changed it. So this needs to be, oh my goodness, I am struggling. Stop. Change instead of text. This needs to be the placeholder of message. So whatever was there a moment ago, we just lost it. Oh, I've screwed something up here. Hold on. I've put the UL on the wrong side. Okay. Almost there, promise. Now I'm kind of like paranoid about the connection. I might check that periodically. Well, not great, but hopefully good enough. So we've got our message here, and we should be able to delete this thing and come back over here, refresh this. It's gone. So if we log out and then log back in, or we are logged out, we don't have a login button. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. We need a login button. And you know what? I'm not going to create a new issue for that. I'll just do it right now. So if you're on the unauthenticated page, let's put right after the sign up button, let's put right next to it a login button. So we could put these div, this is going to be class equal flex. We want this to be a flex row. I think this will work the way I hope it will. We will find out very quickly. So let's put that in there. Let's refresh the page, see what it looks like. Apparently I gave it more space in the process of doing that. That's fine. And what happens if we put a second one of those things there? We got 2 sign up buttons. It's not what we want. I want to change this so that we use our Lime text. So text Lime 900, I believe is what we're using. And this will be on the background white text. So we don't need to do that. And so we want to change this to log in like that. For this particular button, let's give it some, let's give that one some margin. Oh, no. There are better utilities for this. Hold on. So if we go to Tailwind, and is it grid? Or spacing? Space between? I think there's one of these where we can add it to the flex and rather than add it to an individual item. So if we had more in the future. So let's do space X. Launching rockets here. Space X2, maybe? Yeah, cool. And then we should have that be some kind of hover. There should be a hover here. What should our hover be for a like pseudo button, a white button like that? This is essentially the alternate. So I think we want I think we want to do this. I think the way this is going to work, what I'm going to try and do is use BG white, and I'm putting it on that element for a particular reason, because we're going to use, there are some filters that are available with Tailwind. Let's see, brighten. So we're going to use a brightness thing and turn the brightness down, and hopefully that will act like a, should act like a, what am I trying to say? Should make it look like a button. This may not be what I want to do, but I'm going to try it first. Brightness 95. Let's start there. See how that goes. Yeah, that's pretty good. So just so people know that it's a button when you get over there. So you can log in. Now we need to change it so it's the actual login. So this should, I think this is just account login. If we get it wrong, it'll blow up at us. So now go to the login page, which is good because I didn't give them a place to put that. Wouldn't it be better to have the sign up and login at the top? Yeah, you're probably on the right track there, John. I think what I wanted, all right, so concept here. The whole idea of this was if you're not authenticated, and this is your first time here, I wanted to be able to, I've even heard it phrases like somebody I follow on Twitter called this like a manifesto kind of page, where like there's just a letter that's explaining why would you want to use this, and you sign up. I don't know that that makes sense for the login though. That does seem like an odd thing to put there. And maybe it would be better to have a login button, I don't know, way somewhere, like if there's this is a container, right? So we could say login, put it way over here. So why don't we try both, or try having them both visually there for a moment and see how it looks. And then if it doesn't look super weird of having just a login way over here, then we can ditch that one. We don't have double. So I'm going to go over to, where are we? In the header. We've got a flex here that has our index page link. And this is where we want to do, now we can put another div here. And the reason I'm not going straight to the anchor tag is because I want to do a flex grow to maximize the amount of space. So let's do the div with the class of, I think it's just grow. And I don't think we need any other content there. And then let's take this, which is going to look a little weird at first, but let's put the link in there to see what it looks like. Okay. All right, good start. And from here, now the challenge is like this thing takes the full height. So I might want to fix the anchor over here so that it also takes the full height. But then we have maybe have some problems because it's not going to. There's a flex option that will allow that, I think. I don't play around with flex boxes enough. So let's go to flex and look through this stuff. We're trying to control in a flex row. We want the height to be equivalent through all the elements. And I don't know which one that is. Might be a grid thing here. It might be a justify thing. I'm not sure. It's not flex wrap. Flex grow is the thing that's expanding it over. It's like kind of pushing it over the other side. And yeah, not sure which one it is. Justify self? No. Maybe we just set the height to what we need. Height full, something like that. Height fit? I don't know. Or max content? No, I'm not sure. Again, I know enough flex box to be dangerous, which is probably not good. So we've got our link here. Let's continue to have it white so it's really easy to see until we're happy with it. And then we can put in some other stuff. So let's try, what was it? Height max, height fit. Try height fit first. See if that does it. So H fit. No dice. We are on this already. We've got the fit. Max content. No, that's not going to do any good. Okay. Well, boo. Or you know what? For the time being, let's just see what it looks like if we don't go full height on it. We're going to have this a little bit of weirdness where this side will be full height and this side wouldn't be, but maybe that's okay. So let's try it. We want, and the reason that other one is working that way is that it's got, why is it working that way? Oh, maybe I just need to do the same thing and I think I did over here. Now the problem is going to have, oh, okay. I think the problem is going to be around like text size. So because we're not giving this a fixed height, so it's like, because this is a bigger font, it's going to push, like the text size here is smaller. So we could fix the height for all of it, But then I don't know that I want to do that either. That has other problems. So let's just try this of saying text white, put it in the same, or just do the hover thing. I don't think we need the other stuff. So hover brightness 110. Well, that's not working at all. Boo. Did I spell it wrong? Brightness 110. Hover. Looks right. There's also that padding on there. Didn't need that. Well, I would think that would work, because this one works. Maybe it's not working because it's not a block? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, how these filters work. Why does that one work? All right, let's maybe try to do something similar. And use a div. So maybe the hover is acting on the stuff inside, and because we haven't specified the color and the font, it might be not liking that. So let's change this to log in. Leave the rest of that alone. Try, whoa. Okay, that at least gets the hover right, but then we'll get rid of that. We don't need to be font black in the width there. And I don't know that we'll need the tracking wider either. Yeah, it's too, we don't want the text large, and I don't want the tracking. I really just wanted the highlighting ability. Okay, well, whatever I did, the font difference is not actually that much. The padding is actually what's giving us, so there is still, if you look super closely, there's still a gap, I think, between, it's not like pixel perfect down at the bar, but it's probably good enough. Okay, so now over here, I don't know, should we get rid of the login button here and just have the login be up here? So this is like, you're signing up, you've never been here before, and if you have been here before, well, most people know to look for a login button in some kind of corner. I think that's reasonable. That way it's a one clear call to action down here. And although I like the look of this, it's not the right message. Okay. So that was a little detour. That's okay. What we were actually doing is we were trying to get flash messages going. So we want to click here and use Matt at, is it testing or example? README? Testing. Testing.com. And create course is the local password. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Cool. So this flash message, successfully signed in as Matt at testing.com, that's coming from Django all off. Provide that, and it's a way to let you know who you are, because I don't think anywhere else in the app we tell you who you are. Well, you should know it, but it's just kind of an indicator of like, yeah, you did it. You're successfully in. And I'm not, frankly, I don't care too much about this particular message. I don't find it to be super valuable. What I really wanted to do is to prove that we have the flash message system working, so that when we get to forms and stuff later, and we need to pop up these flash messages, that we can rely on this already being in existence. Okay, so that took a lot longer than I anticipated because the internet pooped out. But, you know, it's done. We've got our new login button in the corner, and we've got our flash messages. Feel good about that. This is just template code, so I don't need to run any tests here. There's not going to be any effect on, or there shouldn't be. I guess can be paranoid. Let it run. Only takes a second. Let's commit it. Move on. And this was issue number 17. Add flash message support. Fixes number 17. Let's push that up. Okay. That's going to take care of that one. And then of these, I think I want to pick between one of these two. Oh, you're right. Thanks, John. I did not consider the fact that that's going to appear even if you're logged in. That's no good, because now we've got log in and log out at the bottom, which I want the log out to be out of the way. Like I don't really. It's okay on a login page, like an unauthenticated page, to have the login at the corner, because you want to get people like, oh, how do I get in? You want to make that really easy. And it's not like I'm trying to make it hard to log out, but I think once you're logged in, you kind of want to stay logged in and continue using it. That's sort of how I feel anyway. So, but yeah, that definitely should not be there for a logged in user. So let's go change that really quickly. That's a pretty quick change. So we'll leave the div. That's not hurting anything, but we want to hide the button. So we'll say if user, actually the opposite, if they're not authenticated, so is authenticated, then we want the Vim is not playing nicely with the spacing of that stuff. We want this to be in there, like that. Okay, now let's do full end-to-end on it, and I'm gonna refresh this. We are logged in from that previous thing, so this is still, we don't have much of a UI yet. So we can log out here, and then the login button pops up, and you have signed out. This is one of the things that I probably could or should customize about Django AllAuth, is that we're not consistent in terminology. Like, we're using this from AllAuth, which calls it, and I think this is a flaw in their system, frankly, because they call this, they have sign up and for creating an account, and then they have log in and log out. But the Flash messages, I noticed, and even their default templates say you're signed in, you're signed out. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. With what? That's two different things in my mind. So that would be nice to clean that up, but it's not a priority. So let's try logging in again. Everything's gone. Okay, the button goes away. That's moved down there. Well, that stayed down there. And then we've got the Flash message. And when I refresh the page, the Flash message goes away. All right, so appreciate you noticing that, John. Okay, then we'll say add guard for login button to hide from authenticated users. Okay. All right, now let's go over here and let's look at, we've got some Dependabot stuff that we need to go through because we're still catching up to that and stuff's still changing. Let's see how we're doing and what's there. One of them might even be Django, I can't remember. Yeah. We can't update Django for a while. And the reason for that is, I mean, technically I think we could, but well, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's start off with the easy one. This is rough. It's our formatter and stuff. There's nothing going on there. Jeffrey, that is just a protein shake. So it is, I'm not endorsed by them, but by any means, but Jocko Molk, it's delicious. the chocolate flavor. Getting older, so I need my protein. Okay, one down. So that was the having that tool available at that latest version. We're behind on Sentry, so let's make sure we pay attention. Yeah, it keeps more than the coding engine running. It keeps my whole body running. But yes, the coding engine comes with that. Or maybe I am the coding engine? In which case, you're right. Nope, that's not the right link I wanted to click. So I like to review the changelog just to make sure that I'm not going to step into something that I'm going to regret. So we are going from 1.28 to 1 to 1.44. And that's quite a while, I think. And they've got beta versions, and oh man, it's going to be annoying. So, wow, 4 pages in. Do I really want to look through all this? Okay, there it is. Lucky guess, I guess. 1.28, 1.29. Anything that I care about. Nope, that looks good. That looks good. Ensure back pressure handling. Oh man. Stop recording. Got some open telemetry things in here. That's cool. We're not really using that, but it is cool. These changelogs get hard at some point to pay attention to. And this is why you want to, if you can, stay on top of these things and just not have to look through pages and pages of this stuff, because there's a point at which I lose interest on my ability to absorb all of this information, and you just sort of, I don't know, you can get apathetic about it, which is how I'm feeling already at the moment. I've already gone through 1 page. Okay, so those releases seem okay. And thankfully, they do semantic versioning, so I can have some confidence that I'm not going to get anything too badly. But we got to pay attention still. If I had a heavier use of Sentry, then I might be more concerned and review this with more scrutiny. But we're really doing just the basics. Jeffrey, Sentry is catching any exceptions that would happen in the app and then reporting them. So one of the downsides of having a site online is that if your errors happen to users of your app, if you don't have any way of monitoring that, how do you know that your app is working properly for everyone? So Sentry basically, if there's an exception on the web server that's deployed, it catches that information and sends it up to a website where you can look at the traceback and some of the details and try and fix those things. Yes, I mean, I think you can also set it up so that it would pay attention even if debug was set to true. But I don't remember if that's turned on or not. I don't remember what their behavior is. They do play nicely with debug mode, and I don't think they want to send that stuff up. Although maybe not. I can't recall. And here, if you give me 1 second, I'll put it just briefly in secrets mode in case I have to log in. I'll show you what Sentry looks like briefly. There's not a lot there right now. I'm going to sign in. Whoops, hold on. I got to do some LastPass. Or not LastPass, I'm not using that anymore. Used to be a LastPass user, but their security became kind of quite poor. So I switched over to 1Password. Okay, so I'm going to bring up Journey Inbox. Okay, here we are. So this is the issues page, and if I had one thing I try and be good about is fixing exceptions quickly, and then having a clear page here so that I know this is the list I need to work on. So if there were an exception here it would show up as an item. Then you can click into it, and then you can like dig into what happened, where did it happen in the code, and it collects not only like where did it happen, like the actual traceback, but it also records some of the details about what was some of the state of the variables at the time, so that you have a chance of saying, oh, this combination of this data plus this data triggered this error, and let me go fix that. So it monitors these things. The nice part about Sentry is not only providing that extra information, but aggregating it together. So if multiple users are hitting that, you get like one item for one exception that's happening. It's just a really useful tool for making sure that your services stay well monitored. And there's a bunch of performance things that we can dig into. I got to be more careful with that because some of them are routes that I don't want to be showing, like my admin routes that are popping up high in that list. So I can't just click that willy-nilly. But there's all sorts of tools that can come from Sentry that you can take advantage of. And I believe if you look back in the playlist, there's the time that I configured it. It's not a super hard thing to configure. There are some little surprises in there when it comes to Django these days that are actually not in the official Sentry docs, which is weird. So yeah, the short version is you need to make Sentry load like with every other Django app and use the onReady signal for weird reasons. So you can take a look at my project code and find it. Sentry is going to be listed as one of my apps that I use. So check it out. And I guess if you want to look at the repo, it's Sentry apps. So here's the code. We actually I do have an issue here that we can go. We'll probably update this one quickly so we can deal with this. This is what it looks like. It's really only a couple files to get it going. You use the ready hook and then initialize in the ready hook after Django's all booted up and ready to go. And again, the previous stream covers why that was the case. All right, 1.36 covers Django 5. That's good. We've got some Redis, gRPC stuff. We're not using gRPC. Again, the Sentry tries to be a lot of things to a lot of companies. So there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter in here. Like I'm not using Fast API. I'm glad it's available for Fast API, but it doesn't matter for me. And everything's looking good so far. We've got some GraphQL integration, which we're not going to use. My eyes are glazing over. Go to the next page. I'm going to skip over all the pre-release things because they've got version 2 here, and I'll just wait till it's fully out there and then just look at version 2 all at once. I don't know what they're going to deprecate or remove. Let's just continue to pay attention to the 1.x line. Okay, nothing crazy there. Warn about WSGI. Okay, we're not using uWSGI, so that's not an issue. We're using gUnicorn. More uWSGI stuff. Okay, that looks all right to me. And then the other benefit of having 100% test coverage is the test passed. So there's that I have a pretty high degree of confidence this will do what I wanted to do, but still as a sanity check, I'm still checking this stuff. That's a version 2. It's clear they are not really focusing on the 1.x line anymore. They're just making very minor changes, which is good. It makes this list quicker to review. Keep alive. Interesting. OpenAI. I don't know why that's in Sentry. That's curious. And event scrubber. What's the event scrubber? Maybe that's a not search. Oh. Okay. So if you're dealing with like personally identifiable information, you can use a scrubber, I guess, to clean that up. If you need to be careful with what you send to Sentry. Okay. Seems good enough for me. I'm going to merge it. And we've got a graphics update. This is just for extra tooling that we want. It's not actually needed directly. That looks like a very, very reasonable list. Dropping some old versions of Python that we're not touching, so that's okay. 2 more, and then we'll get back to doing more of the coding stuff. This is the reality of running your own SaaS projects. It's not all like, well, there's a lot of it that's not glamorous, but this is definitely not a glamorous part. I don't think we use that kind of load scope for xdist. We just use the -n option. I think we're pretty safe there. And then the challenge with the Django upgrade is that I'm almost positive this is going to be like the homeschool app. And really the culprit is going to be not Django itself, but a deprecation notice in DJ Stripe. Let's confirm. Yep. So I have my test setup configured to treat any warning as an error. And so there are deprecation warnings that come in this version of Django around this. And this is something that I can't fix. I mean, I could go upstream and then fix it, but I think it may already be fixed and just pending a release from DJ Stripe. I don't remember the situation. But I know that I'm on the latest version of DJ Stripe. I checked that. And it's a particular form in here that's using a certain field type. And so the deprecation warning has this complaint or this message about the scheme will be changed from regular HTTP to HTTPS in the future, which, okay, that's fine. But because it's treating it as an error and it's a dependency, I'm stuck with this problem of I can't realistically upgrade this. But that's not totally true. We can do some stuff to try and work around that. First of all, let's do a pull, get main on the right thing. And then we're going to do I'm going to use hub, which is my GitHub extension set, and do PR. I'm going to do a PR checkout of this particular, whoops, I closed it. Of this particular dependency, which is it's going to be the same problem. So 115. And this is just a fancy way to do a git pull of the right branch. Oh, hub is not there. Boo. Did really not install hub on this? That's annoying. Well, how do you pull a PR from GitHub? It's been so long since I've done it, since I've just relied on that command, which is much easier to remember than the syntax. Let's go look it up though. Do it the old-fashioned way. Git pull up origin branch. Is it just that? Git pull origin, because the origin is like we look at git remote minus v. It tells us what we're connected to here. So the origin is GitHub, and Heroku is where we're doing our deployments. That's the other thing that's configured. We have 2 remotes connected here. So if we do a git pull and then say we want to use the origin, so we want to look at GitHub and we want to pull a particular branch, and the branch that we want is this one, dependabot. Come on. Dependabot pip Django 5.0.4. All right, so now we have that branch. Should be, it's a remote branch. So I'm using, so GB is my command for get branch, and GB minus R is giving us visibility to the remote branches. So this is how long ago I've done this. And then I did that pull. So we've got pip Django by, this is the branch right here. So I think it's just a get checkout of this, or is this going to be in a detached head? I never remember how that works. Yeah, it's a detached head. That's not what I wanted. So I want to get switch out of this back to the original, what I was just on. And all right, we can pull. Why is it showing what? Your branch is ahead of main. Oh, it is? Okay. Oh, because I did that little change. All right, anyway. So we want to do a get switch and I guess the dash C. So I normally, like, I never got used to get switch. It didn't exist when I first got into Git. And so I got used to get branch. And so now they give instructions to use get switch to do these new these other branches, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me. Anyway, so we're on our local branch. The thing that we need to do is that's going to have the one with the Django version 5 here. We can see that if we go to look at the requirements file. So you can see Django is set to 5.0.4. Same with the requirements txt. That's on this branch that's updated as well. So we can quickly do a pip install of those two files, and it's going to add, well, it's going to add the things that we missed, the pygraph is, but it's also going to add in that process Django 5.0.4. So this is my attempt to work around that deprecation message, and I'm going to show you how you can configure that with PyTest in case you wanted to have the same level of lockdown on your checking on your test code, but also want to have some kind of escape hatch. Or what do I do if it's like, it's just a deprecation warning, it's not really affecting me, and I would like to upgrade to the latest version of Django, but I can't. So once this all gets downloaded, and here's where my slow connection for the day is biting us. All of this stuff should go quickly, but my download speed is actually slower than my upload. Graphiz is not installing, phooey. Okay, so I have a C flags version of this. I don't know that Graphiz is still there. We'll see. Okay. The reason for that it failed the first time is because Python pygraphiz needed to use the Graphiz library and actually do some C compiling, but it couldn't find where the Graphiz libraries, the libraries to link against were. If that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry about it. I added some C flag stuff that we'd used in the past. Again, not important in this context. All right, so now we have Django 5.0.4 installed locally, and we should be able to see if we run the same test thing, you can see now we get the deprecation warning that is coming from that we see in CI, the removed in Django 6 thing. So we're at a position finally where we can go fix this. So we can go to PyProject toml, and here is an example of what we can do. So I think this is going to qualify. This qualifies a pending deprecation. Looks different from. No, it doesn't. The same. So what we can do is have these special ignore lines that look like this. These are going to need to be, now that we're in a PyProject toml, I think these need to be wrapped up like so. It's funny that it's showing up that way. It's not showing as a string. And this is a deprecation warning, and we have to do a pattern match on the text of the deprecation warning. So what I want to pattern match on is probably just this. This is probably specific enough. The default scheme will be changed. So if we come over here and delete all that, now we've got the default scheme will be changed. I don't want to match on that literal dot character. Okay. So if I did this right, I should be able to run the test suite again. Nope. Okay, I did this wrong. So maybe it's a pending deprecation warning and not a regular deprecation warning, which would make sense because Django 6 is still out there, and I think the filtering has some stuff on it. Okay. Cool. So what we have done is we've said, hey, don't pay attention to that particular deprecation warning. It doesn't matter right now. And what I like to do with these is when I'm deliberately ignoring something, I will add some kind of comment that says why I'm ignoring it. And so there, let's see, we can say this warning is coming from, and I guess we have some history of Django Stripe doing this in the past. DJ Stripe requirements 2.8.3. So we're going to add that. We're going to commit this and say add ignore for Django 6.0 deprecation warning. And the reason I add the comment is that sometimes I don't know when I added, sometimes these lists like grow, there's a bunch of things that I need to ignore. And it's nice to be able to periodically come back later and be like, oh, you know what? I upgraded that DJ Stripe version. Let's see if that warning went away. And if it did, I can just delete the thing and not really worry about it. But it gives me a signal of like, that's safe to look and see if it's deleted or not. Okay, so now we've committed that. I'm going to try and do a push. Okay, it has no upstream. We want the upstream to be origin, so we're going to use the set origin thing. I'm going to just, I don't know why Git just didn't do it for me. I guess you can set it so that it auto setups remote, but it's not a default. Okay, so that should come back. All right, it didn't. I don't know what happened there. If I close the PR, like what the heck happened? Why is this? All right, whatever. Doesn't matter. Oh, are you kidding me? It only has that one commit. It doesn't have the rest of the changes. That's so dumb. All right, you know what? Forget it. Let's do this. I'm not going to keep that pull request. So if I had the actual like hub command like I wanted to, then I would have checked out the PR. I would have set that up all properly. I would have had all the commits there. And then if I wanted to add the commit and then push it, it just all would have worked out. So I should have just done that, but oh well. So instead, we're now on the main branch, and I'm going to set us up for this to work in the future. The next time the Dependabot wants to, come on, copy. You can do it. Copy. The next time Dependabot wants to try and upgrade to Django 5, we'll just get that, and it should pass because we saw it pass when we ran the test suite locally. Okay, so let's commit this to main, and we'll say prepare for Django 5 upgrade. All right, and then I'm going to close this PR. This is I don't know what the heck happened there. That did I overwrite? Maybe it was like a force push. Whatever. I don't care. Get out of here. All right, let's go back to our issues and work on the next thing. got a few good ones left. I mean, there's plenty of things to go for. Actually, let's do a little before we get into a meteor one. Let's do an easy one. So the Sentry thing that I had up earlier. Anna, welcome. The Sentry thing I had up earlier had that performance tab, and last time we did some filtering to filter out PHP to get rid of all the script kiddie stuff. I looked at it this past week after my quota problem. The numbers were so high that I couldn't even record more trace information, more performance information to Sentry because I was filled up all of my usage. But this past week that started to be opened up again. And what I noticed in there is that I was still getting a bunch of stuff related to WordPress, but this time it's not something that I could find with a .php. So what I want to do is add anything that starts with /wp- to this ignore list, because again, more WordPress stuff. So we'll just do that by doing or path. This time it starts with, and we want to say /wp-. And now we've got our list here. This gets more and more expensive. The more of these that you have, it starts this is running on every request, right? So I don't want to put a ton of these. And I don't know if this starts to get faster or slower compared to a regular expression. I don't know when that comes into play, but hopefully this is enough and still fast enough that it's really going to be okay. So I think that'll fix that issue. And just for sanity's sake, let's check the coverage test. Yeah, it still runs, so it's all good. So let's say stop sending more WordPress garbage to Sentry, and that fixes number, what was that number? 113. Push that up. And I guess while we are in this mode and we're at that latest thing, let's go ahead and deploy. Get that change out there. Plus the other little changes. We've done some little things. I don't know this next thing we will complete on this particular stream. So it'll be good to, while we're in a clean slate kind of state, we can get everything out. And make sure that it's still running. Should only take a minute or two to get this going. We'll let that run in the background for a second. So what do I want to focus on next? There are two things that are important to me. One is more important to users. The other is purely about me, frankly. And that's these two issues. The trial banner is cool, but it's also, I think we can save that one for a little bit. So here's one of the big problems. I suspect there will be a bunch of people that use Gmail. And right now, the prompt emails that are coming back, when they include one of the past journal entries. So again, if you've never joined in, this is a journaling application. But most of the stuff that we're building has nothing to do with this user interface here. Like we have to have some kind of way to get signed up and join, but that's not where people will be spending their time. People, if they actually want to use the service, will mostly be interacting with Journey Inbox via their email inbox. And I'm one of those users. I have this on my Gmail account. And one of the things that happens right now is that, well, one more piece of information. So this works by sending out daily prompts. Every day you get prompted and you reply to that email, and that's how you update your journal. And part of that process is picking a random entry from the past that you've written before and dropping that into the prompt to say like, hey, on January 1st, 2024, you wrote this. And it's there to remind you of what you've done. And that's pretty cool. That's what makes this app appealing to me, and hopefully to other people. That's kind of the hook. But what I've found is that something about that is causing a weird issue to show up with Gmail specifically. And it's saying that every time I see a prompt, and I'll check one now just to verify, but it shouldn't be any different. Ooh. Let me pull one up here. I'm going to pull one up from today. Why not? I can't really show you. Well, it's okay. On my phone, it might be different from what's in the browser. On the phone, it says view entire message, which is, yeah, okay. Here it is. Yeah. So this is the same. It says view entire message, which is a little disconcerting. Like, if it says view entire message, it kind of implies that some of the message has been chopped off. And that's not the case. That's not what's happening. There's the whole message is there. So I did some research on this, and I tried some other things. I was like, well, I had open tracking on SendGrid initially to help get better stats on, are people, checking this stuff? And I was like, I don't really care about that. Let me turn that off and see if it will go away. Didn't go away. So the documentation from SendGrid seems to indicate that this problem either appears when you have too much information, which that information limit it's a pretty large number. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but it's nowhere close to the amount of information that I'm sending in these emails typically. Or Sentry is complaining about, it said it could be like special characters that appear. So one thing that we can do is we can use I can connect to the actual SendGrid API keys that I have for the production site and do that locally. And we can try to send to my phone, and it has to look a certain way and make sure that it's coming from the right area, otherwise the requests get dropped. And then confirm that I see that view message thing or not. And what I want to do is build up a message enough so that I can see this problem and then start to debug like what's going on with those characters. So that's this issue. And that one's going to be like a little painful to test, frankly. And then the other one that is of interest, particularly to me, is this import process. So I want to be able to import a file that is produced by the current tool that I'm using that does the same kind of thing of journaling, and bring all of my past entries in so I can go shut down my account on that other service and just rely purely on Journey Inbox. And I like to be able to make this process work for anybody else who wants that available. Frankly, it'll be pretty uncommon to use it, which is why it's mostly for me. So I think to offer a better experience, I'd like to solve that other one earlier. And I'm just kind of wondering what it's going to be like to track that down. So that's going to be the tricky part. So we're going to do this. It's going to involve me like flipping back and forth a little bit between sending secrets and configuring this in a way that we can fire off a particular email. So there's going to be some fiddling that is involved here, but we'll get there. That's the thing we're going after. So we want this is the sending code that sends a job, and it's starting to get kind of lengthy, and it sends an entry, and it sends the date, and then does some rendering and prepares an email message and sets some metadata and then calls send, and then after it's done it creates a prompt. So maybe what we should do is extract this. Yeah, let's do a little bit of refactoring first. So make sure this still runs the way we would expect it to. And then if we refactor it, then from a terminal, we should be able to bring up a shell, create one of these jobs, and then pass in an account that's already pre-configured to connect to my email account, along with a more controlled set of entry data. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. So let's try that first. So the chunk that I think I want to do is, whoops, everything from the context building and the message construction down to the sending. I think that's what I want to pull out. So we'll call that, I mean, the best name I can think of is perhaps send message. And this is the whole thing. This is not a big job. Like this is, you're looking at the entire class right here. So it's not like this is a super complex process. But this will help separate it a little bit, make it really clear on what the execute loop is doing versus what the other piece is doing. So let's have our new method, and we'll say send message. And it's going to be a method, so it needs to have self, and we don't know what to put in there yet. And then let's see, send an individual message to an account. That's what's happening. If we run the suite right now, it's going to complain that that method is never called, which is good. I mean, that's what I expect. It's not good or bad. It's just what it is. Oh, interesting. Oh, because there's no body to it. So it does get this line, and this line doesn't count because it's just a documentation line. So it doesn't actually complain. But if I put like 1 plus or foo equals 1 and try to run that again, that line should now come up as like it's not covered. Okay, that's what I expect. So let's take this chunk of code and pull it out. Take the whole chunk like this, drop it right here, get rid of that placeholder thing, and then move it out like that. Okay, so here's where we're going to come back in and fill in some and make some changes. So I want to be able to control, the whole reason I'm doing this is to be able to control what entry gets sent, and I need to be able to control the body of that message because it's going to be pulled out here, because that's right, that's just how it's going to be rendered. So I don't want to do this code in line here. We want to be able to say entry. Okay. We're not using that yet. We're going to step up to that. So let me yank this line and put it here. And then we'll do up here, we need to make sure we call this. So let's call it and pass in an entry and then create a local variable here. Like so. Why did it complain about that? Argument of type entry or none. What? This can be none? I guess it can be none. Go to the definition. Oh. It can be none. All right. Fine. So this could be entry or none. Okay. So that's good. And then we can replace this call right here with the same thing. So hopefully you can see that should be the same code, right? And then if we delete this comma, we get context down to a single line. The other piece that we need, well, we need two other pieces. We need today, which I'll just tack on at the end. Today. And then we're really like, the way I want this to read is we're going to send a message to an account, is this entry on this date. So let's put account at the front and do count. Okay. So now we need to update the call here to be account and today. And finally, to finish off this type annotation, this is today as a date. So that's going to be date time dot date. What in the world just happened there? Oh, I have a snippet system now that I'm not used to using. Apparently I can auto fill in a date snippet. That's kind of cool. That's not what I want, but that's kind of cool. And then we we need to import date time at the top. And then I didn't realize that the message is logged down here in the prompt, so we need to actually return the message at the end. And say message. Okay. So far we haven't actually made any code change, and I think that's, well, we made code change. We haven't done any behavior change. It's been a pure refactoring to extract that body there into a method. And we got good test coverage on this. I'm pretty confident of it. So the fact that our tests are passing tells me that we did it correctly. So now we're in a position where I can set up a couple of things. I can set up the account, which is going to pull out the email. We need to check on our from email. Where's that coming from? From email. Okay. Which is fine. And then, so what I'm going to have to do in order to work this is I'm going to have to go in and actually set the account that we want to use. I have to set the email to my real email address. That'll be part of this process. And then we have to turn on the SendGrid settings so that's actually using the proper API key. And then I think we'll have everything needed in order to test this out in a reasonable kind of loop. So let's do that. Let me do, hold on. Let me see what accounts we have that we could use. So we are logged in, and this is the main account. So let's go to the admin. We've got some accounts over here. And so here's an account, ASDF. That's the user. So if we go to user, we've got ASDF here. So I'm going to set this to my real account. That's for the part I can't show, and then we won't be able to go back to the admin until I fix it. So I need to remember to fix it. But this will be a good start. So let's bring up the shell. And we want to do user objects.get username equal ASDF. So that is the email address of that is ASDF set somewhere. Okay, here's where I'm going to switch over to secrets mode for a moment. I'm going to set the email to an email address that I can be sure to get data on. So it's going to be my Gmail plus some, I'm going to say journey inbox testing at gmail.com. It's no shocker that I'm at Gmail. I've already shared that. And then I'm going to save that user. Yep. So save. Okay, I got to clear out of this, clear this. Now I can bring this back. So I exited the shell after saving. Okay. The other thing we need to do is what? What do we need to do, Matt? Okay. I wonder if we can make this easy to test. Because we might have to stop the shell and restart and stop and restart. And I don't want to do this setup multiple times. So let's do this. Let's do, let's make a little method called test_it. It's not going to take any arguments. And we're going to do this setup one time. So we can call test_it and, you know, like very much expecting a certain set of users. So we'll say, or an account rather. The account is going to be equal to account.objects.get, where the username is equal to ASDF. And then we want to, all right, hold on. I want to be able to have a little bit of control on this if I want to be able to test it more than one time. So let's make it optionally accept an entry, which can be equal to none. So I could either call it by itself or not. And then we can do, so if entry is none, then we will make entry be an entry value. Yeah. And that entry value takes a handful of things. So let's go to the entry models, let's show it. It takes a body. So testing, email, sending. It takes when, and when is going to be equal to time zone. What was it up above? Time zone dot local date. And then it's going to take a user, which is equal to account.user. Whoops. 2 C's. Account.user. All right. So now we've got those things. We will then call self send message. We'll pass in the account. We'll pass in the entry. And we'll pass in, well, we'll create another one, local date. So now we've got this little testing helper that should be able to send an entry for us. And in the event that I want to send another one and try and get another set of values in there, and I'm like, I anticipate, well, I don't know what I anticipate fully yet, so we'll see. Because there is behavior when the entry is none. I'm not going to worry too much about it yet. Okay, so we've got that test method that will help us test. We need to now, I need to go back to secrets mode. And the reason I'm going to secrets mode is I'm going to the env file. And I'm going to find my SendGrid API key, which is currently set to a fake API key value. I'm going to copy, I'm going to comment that one out and uncomment the real API key, I think is the real API key. I don't think I had to rotate that one. Then I'm going to get off of that so I can show you all what's going on again. So essentially, like here, I had this fake API key. This is just the example file, but I've got the real one. And then let's make sure in the settings that I think that's all we have to do. Send. Yeah, because we're not using the webhook for this call. We're just sending. We're doing outbound sending. That's where it's going to use the API key. So I think that's good. I think that's it. Okay, let's try it. If I did it right, then I should be able to create an instance of that job. And in fact, let's bring the job back up. Send mail job. We should be able to call the test it method, and hopefully it will not blow up on us and send out an entry. And this has the reason I did all this is if I try to just call the whole job and run everything, then it's going to go through a bunch of accounts that are there. It's going to create a bunch of prompts. And the whole goal of the prompt is to make sure that it's not sent out multiple times for a particular day. But here's this example where we definitely want to be sending out for the same day multiple times. So I don't want to have to go flip state back over every time I do that, which is why I've extracted this helper method to make this easier. Okay, so let's bring up manage, and we'll do the shell. Okay. Yeah, it should have pulled in the right environment stuff. I think that should be good. And so we need to pull this from journal entries job send mail, from journal entries jobs send mail. This is called a job, import job. And we want an instance of this job. And then we want to do job test it. Now, I don't remember what's going to pop out here. I'm going to put the secrets on just in case it decides to blow up and spam my email out there. But I'm going to hit enter. Yeah, it was going to show my... Okay, I forgot. I know what I forgot to do. It definitely showed my email address, so I'm glad I chose to do that. Sorry. The thing I forgot is we need to set we need to set the email backend. Right now it's using the console backend, and that's no good. Also, do we need this? I think I got rid of this. I think I forgot to clean that out. Send grid reply to. We're not using that. We hard coded it into the from email. So that's this piece is dead, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I'm going to delete that while I'm here. Put the secrets back on. Go back to the actual env file. And going to comment out the email backend in the env file. And by doing that, it's going to go to the default one, which should be the actual anymail system. Let's try this again. Let's go back to the shell. Oh, it had the history. Oh, great. I was concerned that we weren't going to have the history and I was going to have to type it out every time. So we've got our job. Create the instance. We're going to test it. Again, I'm going to switch over to secrets just for the moment and until it confirms that there's nothing to hide there. And okay, so I got a 401. Nothing sensitive here. 401 and saying the provided authorization grant is invalid. So I think maybe I did have an API key that I had to rotate. I got to go get an API key in order for us to test this. So let me go over to SendGrid. I'm going to get the API key, and then I will plug that into the env file. So we have a real API key to work with, and try again. I'm going to have to do all this in the secrets mode though, because it's sensitive stuff. So I'm clicking app.sendgrid.com, and it's not letting me log in, so I'm going to have to log in. So it sent me back to sendgrid.com on the English US page. I'm going to the sign in thing. I'm clicking through, and you would have seen my account information there, which would not have been good. Now I have to do the two-factor authentication. So finding SendGrid on the list and going to here and typing in the authorization code. All right. Promise I will do this as for as short a time as possible. And going to the settings page, going to my API, there's an API keys section. Oh, this might have been a one-time. We're only going to let you see this one time. Let's see. They're going to let me do it. Oh, boo. All right, so I got to go to Heroku, get my API key. Sorry, y'all. I forgot for their security purposes, they're like, we're only going to let you see this one time. But then sometimes I need to test against that stuff. I could make another API key rather than use the production one. That might be wise, but not feeling like that's necessary. So I'm now doing two-factor authentication on Heroku. And this is the one I would need to be super careful, because I have leaked this page before and had to rotate all my keys, which was a gigantic pain in the butt. So I'm going to the Journey Inbox page, I'm going to the Settings section and revealing the configuration variables. Now I've got the SendGrid API key. I've copied it. I'm going to go to my env file. Whoops. Did not go to my env file. 1 second. And I'm going to go down to my SendGrid API key. I'm going to paste it in, see if it's different. Oh, it's definitely different. Okay. So I'm going to delete the one that was invalid. I'm going to get off this page very explicitly. I'm also going to hide my config variables before I turn anything back on. I don't want to repeat. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and close out of Heroku so you can't see anything there. Okay. So safe to show there. Bring it back. And we're going to exit out of here. We're going to start up the shell again. There's a lot of work to test this out. It's sort of annoying. One thing we may do, there's a way that you can essentially use, you can invoke the Python shell and pass in a command, a series of like things you want to execute. And I've used that in the past and a couple of times. Like I think it's with the -C. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, so there's command, and you can chain a couple of together and take advantage of that Python allows semicolons. It gets a little wonky, but if we have something that we need to iterate over many times, I've found that sometimes that is useful. But we're going to do it manually for the moment until we've seen it work at least once, and then we'll play around with it from there. Okay, so we have a managed shell, and we're going to import the job again, and we're going to create the job, and we're going to call test it. Again, I'm going to put on secrets mode before I hit enter. Now I'm hitting enter. Okay, cool. It proceeded. No warnings. So now it's time to check, did we actually get a real request? So I have in my inbox, good. And this is good because it says, it has the message of well, I can't really show that very well. So yeah, I'm probably revealing too much anyway. So it's a good thing that was blurry. The bottom of it had the view entire message thing that I've been trying to get rid of. So there's something about that we want to test, or that I want to build up to and see if there's a particular character that is causing the problem, in which case that's great, problem solved, or if it's something else. And I don't know if this is there's like a text email that's going along with this. So we're going to do a couple of things. Let's go to the prompt. And we've got the prompt text. So there's a text version and there's an HTML version. I think the safest thing to do is start from 0. And I'll bring stuff back as necessary. So let's delete all that. And then I want to do the same thing over here. Wow, why is there extra lines on here? Huh. Okay. I'm curious if just those extra characters is enough to like throw off Gmail. That would be weird. You never know. All right, let's just start from a base that we know that should not have that message. So now we have 2 empty files, and the message we're going to send to SendGrid is empty. We'll see. Actually, I don't even know if that'll allow that or not. So now that we know that we can send, here's where I'm going to try the do it in one line thing. So we'll do shell. And we'll do C. And so from journal.entries.jobs send mail import job. And then here's where I think it's going to get weird, because I don't think we can like create local variables. So I think we need to do job test it. Let's see if this works. Unless a valid template ID is provided. What happened there? Maybe it's like you have to have some content? Well, that's curious. All right, so we can't go all the way to that. So let's trim it down, I guess. Let's try just one line in each thing and see if that'll work. Or as close to one line as we can get. So the prompt there is to that. And then here, let's get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of that, those extra spaces, and get rid of, why is there an empty paragraph tag here? What were they doing? And there's a lot of possibilities of what might be going wrong. In fact, okay, just in the off chance that it's just because I had extra new lines somewhere and an extra tag in there, let's try it with this and see if this is good enough. And if we get the view message thing to go away just from this, then our lives have been much easier than I could have possibly dreamed for. But let's see. All right, it sent that time. So we sent some valid content. I've got a second email coming in. This one does say view entire message on it. Okay, so I think we need to keep trimming. So I'm going to try this by taking out the entire body here and taking out all of this stuff here. And see what happens. So it's hard to, like, I basically have to talk you through this because you can't see this side unless I was to log into Gmail, which, sorry, I'm not going to do that. Okay. But hopefully you're seeing some like cool patterns here of like, this is a really convenient way to do a quick test on the shell that you can keep it in your bash history, and you can make the reason I'm doing this like as a one-liner is I don't know, you know, if I make some kind of code change or I make template changes, I don't know what's being reloaded in the shell. And just by getting out of the shell, then I work from a clean slate each time. All right, cool. Now, yeah, well, it still has my email address in here, but I can tell you definitively that I don't have that view message thing at the bottom anymore. So whatever is the problem, it's in one of these things. So let's start with the text version and see if we can narrow, like it'd be nice to segment this of it's one or the other. We don't know. And see if we can figure it out from there. John, that's a good question. Like, I would hope that the template, because we're passing this stuff through a renderer. So I guess what we could do is we could say, let's do this. For the moment, let's do print of text version was print text message, and print HTML version was print HTML message. So we should see exactly what we're putting into the anymail message object. Good thought. It's a good to get this stuff there for debugging purposes. Let's try it again. So this version has the text version is this. Oh, we didn't restore the body. I think that's good though. I think we said we're just going to start from having the text filled in. And that's good. Again, I can't really show you because this kind of got my email address in there. But there's none of that view message stuff. It's not there. So progress. So I feel good about at least the text version seems to work. Or it seems to not, it seems to not trigger a problem on Gmail. So the case seems to be that there's something in here that is causing the issue. We know that we're not going to be in the else path. We're in this path. So let's start with just this paragraph tag and see if it's okay. Continuing to like bisect the problem until we get something. All right, so we've got our one paragraph tag, not surprising. And still no view message thing. Good. So it seems to be somewhere in here. Could be, maybe it's the line breaks. All right, one thing at a time. our entry body, let's try taking this piece out. So now we're going to have the date in there with a timestamp, and the there's some characters in here that they seem pretty innocuous, like the colon and the comma, but I don't know. Maybe there's something weird in there. So fire off another one, and we only have a certain number of chances with this because I am using up my API quota for the day to do this, but probably okay. I'm not going to do 100 of these, and we got some headroom there. So I'm waiting for the next message to come in. Hopefully we're not going to spam with this too. That would be really bad. Nope, no spam. There it is. Okay, it's just a little slower that time. Ah! I've got the view entire message thing. So, wow, that's surprising. Something in here is causing an issue? That's weird. All right, I'm going to bring this back and save it before we monkey around with this change. So we're getting back to, we have a barely modified template. We've taken out a paragraph tag. We've taken out some extra spacing. It's all good stuff. So what about this could be causing the problem? On your journey, 0 minutes ago, you wrote, okay, let's take it out piece by piece. Let's take out everything in the parentheses. How about that? And maybe even the comma. I don't know. And I guess we should take out this as well to make sure that it's equivalent to what it was before. So now we're down to a portion is still there, but we took out the parenthetical part. That'd be really weird if it's parentheses or something, that because we saw the content. We're essentially taking out this along with the comma. That would be pretty strange. So waiting for the message to pop up again. And it could be that, I don't know, SendGrid could be encoding something in a weird way. There's all sorts of, like, we're seeing the bytes that we're trying to send, but it's not a guarantee of what SendGrid is sending. Wow. So the view message thing is not there. So maybe it is that parentheses. Okay. So I want to try two things. Because I'm worried about, like, it could be that, yes, maybe we fix the prompt, but if there's somebody has a message text in there that has some characters that shouldn't be in there, that it could still show that issue, which again would be strange, but possible. So here we've got this. So I want to keep that out. And the only thing that I could think of that was kind of unique about that was the parentheses, right? Because there's a 0, there's a comma over here. These are just characters. So it really seems like parentheses are the thing. So in our test down here, let's do test email body with parens and include some parentheses in our data and see what happens when we've got parentheses in our own stuff, in our, like, the body of what the user wrote, and see if it comes out that same way. Then I think we'll have narrowed it down to it's parentheses, but then what do we do about it? Whoops, shoot. Well, bad test, because I foolishly have the 0 minutes thing in there too. That's definitely going to show up in there because, yeah, it shows up there. But so you don't know, is it this set of parentheses or that one? Or maybe both. So now we've got this, I've saved it this time, so it should just be the parentheses from the body of the entry that we want. So let's try again. And we wouldn't have known that, thanks John, we wouldn't have known that if I hadn't printed out the HTML version. I would have just assumed that I sent the right thing. And, well, I guess I would have seen it over here when I saw it on the email, but it would have not been so obvious. Okay. Wow. It appears, because I'm looking at this with the with parens, and it's not saying view message. So it seems like the parentheses that I have are not working. Okay, one other test that I can think we can do, if we can, to really laser in on is it these parentheses, is to just delete the parentheses and see if it's that or if it's something else. So I'm going to delete that parenthesis and that one, save it, try again. What? Now it's saying view entire message. What the heck? What is going on? What? Okay. Could it be maybe the time sense? Okay. Here's the off-the-wall thought that I have, is that time sense is returning characters that are unexpected. Like this something about the 0 minutes ago are not, one of them is not a expected character. That's weird. Okay, let me do this one more time. I'm gonna delete that whole thing again, just so I don't know, I'm losing confidence here. Just want to make sure that. So I'm gonna do this step where I have it totally gone. And I want to see view entire message go away. I'm gonna bring it back, and then I'm gonna leave the parentheses and delete out the inside of those parentheses. And see, then I guess at that point we can only conclude that it would be something about the time sense data that's there. So we've got our parentheses down here. I'm refreshing this, and sure enough, it's not saying view entire message. So something about that seems to be the problem. So let's delete everything inside of here. So weird, so weird. Send another one. Get some parentheses. And the view message thing is gone. Okay. So now what? Now how do we test this? All right. So I think what I want to do, all I can think of is that maybe one of these numbers is, or something about one of these characters is that it's not actually, there's like an encoding on it, or there's a font, like a, you know, how you may have seen, you may have seen like somebody's username that uses a character that looks like a regular English character, but then you're informed that actually that character was something totally different. It was in a different character set entirely. And that was the problem as reported in SendGrid, is that you have characters that don't belong. So maybe it's that one of these is not actually a valid ASCII character. That's really weird if that's the case. Really, really weird to me. But that could be it. So the difference is I can now I'm going to change this. I want to stop using the actual API for a moment. We're just going to print it out. And the thing that I think we need to check is I guess we've concluded we don't care about the text version. There's nothing wrong with that. And then we don't actually need to call send at the moment, so we'll comment that out. In fact, we don't even need well, we do, yeah, because we have got to return that. Yeah, and then how do I want to do this? I want to, one of the Python built-ins, or here's where we could do this. We've got, let's just change. Yeah, I want to do this. Okay, just for the moment, we don't need any of that stuff. We've sort of figured out. Oh, really? No, do not auto remove that. Auto command right. No. No auto command right. Okay. It was automatically cleaning that out from rough, and I don't want to do that. All right, that's just going to get annoying. I'm going to leave this uncommented so it doesn't try and clean that up. So what I want to do is get a shell, look at the HTML message, and inspect character by character and see if there's something different about those particular characters that is not what we expect. That's all I can figure. So let's bring back the job. Let's create the job. And we've got HTML message. If we go to job, test it. So there's the printout. And we've got that as well. We should be able to print HTML message and see the whole thing. Nope. Did I not return it? HTML message. HTML message. Why are you none? Oh. That's not what tested does. Okay, tested didn't return it. Ah, phooey. Okay, try again. Okay. HTML message equal to job test it. HTML message. Print. There it is. I can see it already. Look. Sneaky, sneaky. What is that? 0 or the... What is that? There's an escape in there. I'm glad I just printed it and put it out like that. That saved us a bunch of time. I was thinking it was going to be a character. It turns out it's space. Jeez. There we go. I'm left behind with a lot of XAO. What is that? So X, what is backslash X? Is that binary hex? Hex, all right. Backslash XAO is actually a non-breaking space in Latin 1, also char 160. You should replace it with a space. Gosh, that's so annoying. Unicode data normalize. Okay. So is that telling me the problem is that it's in here. Like I don't have access to just like modify this as necessary. I think I could maybe, oh gosh, that is so annoying. The whole reason I used TimeSense was because it's convenient and right there. Try escaping the paragraph around TimeSense. So TimeSense is going to resolve. So everything that we're seeing, John, everything that we're seeing should be like all of this 0 minutes is coming from TimeSense. So the space that it's using is coming from TimeSense. So I want to be able to convert. So I guess what's happening, okay. It's making more sense. I think what's happening, at least piecing it together from this, is TimeSense is using ISO 8859-1. And we need it to be in Unicode. So maybe we can search on that. Django, TimeSense, Unicode. Or about Django, let's search for the actual problem we have. Backslash XA0. Use non-breakable space between. Well, this is actually a ticket to do this on purpose? Why? Avoid. 11 years ago. All right, tell me more. This is now fascinating. Template filters which return units, so that's TimeSense, should return strings with non-breakable space between the amount and the units. It increases legibility. In what universe? I'm just reading through some of this message here. So somebody did it. So here's the exact opposite. And it's closed. Works for me. It was closed 8 years ago. What do they say? And they just didn't fix it. Okay. All right, I'm going to do one of two things. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the default Django template tags. And if there's a way that we can pass this through another filter and normalize it, unicodeize it, I don't know, then that would be the easiest fix. If we can't, then I can look at the code that TimeSense uses and add that to the context and make it an explicit thing. That's kind of annoying, but people have their reasons. Are there any options on this? Nope. And I didn't see anything that does Unicode conversion. Nope, nothing on here. Django Unicode filter? Nah. All right, time to get creative, I think. So what I want to do, calculate this and use essentially the equivalent code from TimeSense and then call the replace on it. Or actually use the Unicode data normalize now. This is Python 2? Been in the standard library a long time. That was a really old comment. That's how old this problem is. All right, let's go to the docs. Let's look at the library reference. Let's look for Unicode data. And then the normalized function still here. Yep. There's gotta be a better way to do this. Can't believe we'd have to use this particular function to accomplish this thing. Can we not just do an encoding? All right. So the thing I want to start with, let's go into our Django clone. I want to open this up and I want to look for TimeSense. So these are just filters. The question is, are they available or could we call them directly? Sometimes you can. It's not obvious, but sometimes you cannot. So there is Django utils TimeSense. Django utils TimeSense. Cool. Takes two datetime objects and returns the time between as a nicely formatted string. Cool, that's what we want. Somewhere in here probably has the non-breaking spaces thing. Maybe not. Maybe we can use this directly. Okay, let's try it. First, let's make sure we understand how it works. So we want, it takes two datetime things, two datetime objects. We have date objects, not date times, right? When we're calling entry.when, that's a date, and today is a date. I don't know what's going to happen if we just pass in date objects. So let's try from Django util.timesense, or just import, no, it's fine. Timesense import timesense. Utils. Okay, now we've got a timesense function. So we want today is, well, we need from Django utils import time zone. And then today is equal to time zone local date, right? That's going to give us April 4th, UTC. So 30 minutes, I'll be in the future as well. And then we also want to do, another time. So let's say 4 days ago. I want to make sure I get the ordering of this call on timesense right. So we'll say 4 days ago is today minus, oh shoot, hold on. Don't have date time imported. So import date time for, let's call it 4 ago is today minus date time delta days equal 4. So 4 ago should be, yeah, March. All right, and then I think we can use time zone and then do, or time since, with 4 ago is the thing we want to pass in first, and today is the other thing. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And then I want to do this and say, or, well, hold on. The other bit we had was we could do Unicode data. What are these? NFC, NFKC, NF, what the heck? Okay. That looks weird. But it's just because I'm unfamiliar with it. Let's poke around with it. I'm learning something new here. Never done this before. We've got Unicode data. And let's go. We've got our time sense. I'm going to put it into a variable called TS. So we got TS. It's got the XA0 thing in there. And we'll do Unicode data normalize. Then we have to give that special options here. I kind of don't care which one of these, as long as one of them works, doesn't matter to me. So we'll try each one until we get something that works and hopefully returns something with just the space in it. So let's do, the first one was NFC, and let's pass in TS. Well, that doesn't do it. NFKC, that does it. Maybe that's what we want. NF, I just want to explore. NFD doesn't do it, and NFKD. Okay, gotta have the K. So what does the K mean? All right, the normal form KD will apply the compatibility decomposition. That is, replace all compatibility characters with their equivalents. The normal form KC, I'm reading this paragraph right here. The normal form KC first applies the compatibility decomposition, followed by the canonical composition. Okay, what? For each, let's back up. Let's just read it. It's time to learn something. Return the normal form for the Unicode string unistr. We've got a Unicode string, that's what we're dealing with, and it's got an escape character in here that is one of these Latin characters. The valid values for form are one of these four options that we just played with. Okay, the Unicode standard defines various normalization forms of Unicode string based on the definition of canonical equivalence and compatibility equivalence. All right, I don't necessarily know what that means, but okay. In Unicode, several characters can be expressed in various ways. For example, the character U plus 00C7, which is Latin capital letter C with cedilla, can also be expressed as a sequence U plus 0043. I might be, is that cedilla or is it cedilla? And is that a Spanish thing? Sorry, I'm an English speaker primarily. If I know any other language, it's Chinese. So, and these are not things that I recognize. For each character, there are two normal forms: normal form C and normal form D. Normal form D is known as the canonical decomposition and translates each character into its decomposed form. Normal form C first applies a canonical decomposition. It sounds like normal form C does more work. So maybe I want the D version and assume that it comes out okay because I'm not really doing anything complicated. Then composes pre-combined characters again, blah, 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 blah. Okay. In addition to these two forms, there are two additional normal forms based on compatibility equivalence. Okay, do I care? I think we've got the answer. So, all right. This is unfortunate, but it's okay. I think what I'm going to do is in the context, I'm going to create a new context variable. I'm going to call it delta. And delta is going to be the equivalent of time since. And see how that comes out. And then once we have the delta in there with the normal form business, then we can try to go back through the test. We're storing some of this stuff, make sure everything works, and then we'll declare victory. And that should hopefully clear everything up. Okay, let's come back up here and let's do I want to add in the comma, put this on multi-lines. Then we need to do delta is our new thing. And it needs to include, so it's going to be Unicode, Unicode data. No, I don't need it from those modules. I need it from just the import, guys. Okay, whatever. Normalize, and then we need n. What was one of the ones that worked? nfkd, fkd, along with our time sense. So we want time sense, and we want this one, and then we want to pass in the entry when, along with today, and then we want, that was it, right? Just those two things? Yeah. Okay. What's it complaining about? Oh, the entry could be none. Oh, junk. Junk. Okay. So we can't put this in here all the time because it only can appear. I'm glad we put that type annotation there. That actually saved me from a silly mistake. So we want to do only if there's an entry. Then we want to do context delta is equal to all that stuff up here. And delete that. Put that there. And then I want to import Unicode data. What I want to do? Oh, still have that. All right. And then we need a good comment to explain this. We need to normalize time sense because it uses a, what they call it in the non-blank space or something? Non-breakable space. Okay. Non-breakable space, which is, that is XA0. And this is a character from, what was it, Latin? We had it earlier. Where'd it go? Ah, Latin 1. Latin 1, which is ISO 88. This is like, I'm going way overboard on the details in here, but this one was confusing enough that I want to be able to remember this. SendGrid, well, not SendGrid. Gmail expects all Unicode and will add a, what was it? Like view message thing? View entire message link when there are characters that it doesn't like. Or doesn't, yeah. Doesn't like is good enough. By normalizing, this replaces the non-breakable space with a regular space. And again, this is probably overkill. I could probably just do a string replace on it, but that's okay. I want to put this above here. Okay, so this should solve that problem. And now we need to come over here. We need to change two things. We need to change the HTML version here. So let's ditch this and put in delta. And also do it on the text version. Text version is not going to be as big a deal, but I want to be consistent. Okay, now I think we're in a position to test this. And we should get 0 days, but we won't see anything. So we need to go back in the shell again. Because if I just ran the test thing like we did before and just printed it out, you don't actually see it until we get the actual raw characters. So let's import. Oh boy. Let's just type it out. Job equal job. HTML message is equal to job test it. Whoa, 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 whoa. What the heck just happened there? That was not what I anticipated. What did it do? What did I do? Oh, I see. There's one thing I did wrong. I don't know. I'm still like, why is there escaping here on boundaries? Like, what the heck? Come on. Okay, that looks a lot better. I think it was trying to render a tuple completely and doing a representation of that and then doing a bunch of escaping on the actual parentheses. It's a good thing we test. And then just to check, we look at the raw message data, we don't have that escape character there anymore. That's good. Okay, as a final, I think we're finally ready to bring some of this stuff back. And then I think we're ready to like just start cleaning up. And then I'm going to clean up and like shut it down for the day. This is way deeper than I expected to go. But we found it, and we're going to provide a better email experience. I'm actually pretty excited about this. It's a small change, seemingly, but it's a good one. Okay, so let's get out of here. Let's check out our templates, see what's still there. So now we've switched them to delta rather than time sense. We cleaned up. There's also some cleanup of some white space here, getting rid of a paragraph tag and then getting rid of those 2 lines. And then on this one, on the text version, we just cleaned up the delta. That was a much cleaner template. So good change, good change. We can continue to return the message because we need to. And we want to do these things. I'm going to leave the prints for just a moment. I'm going to have to be really careful reviewing this because we refactored, and I didn't add to that the stage. I should have staged the changes and then start poking around. We didn't do that though, so we'll just have to be a little bit watchful. All right, so then now we should be able to run our manage call that has the test it thing. Super descriptive, right? And let's try it again. So I'm gonna hit enter. It's doing 0 minutes ago. I've got, all right, cool. I've got it 0 minutes ago with the parentheses. Everything is looking good. That's great. Okay, clean up, and then did we get Did any other pull requests come in? No, good. And let's also check on actions if nothing's broken. So good. So that was a weird one. But you know, that's some of the challenges of software. You encounter weird things. And let's make sure if we run the tests that everything's covered. Oh, boo. Boo. What are you not? Oh. Okay. Ah. Yeah. Our test it lines are there still. So we don't care about this stuff anymore. Oh, I also need to go because I'm going to forget. And then the next time we bring up the admin, I'm going to see ASDF, and right there will be my email address. So we need to go clean that up. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Manage shell plus. I think I can do this without showing off what that email address is. So we want the user objects get username equal ASDF and user email is equal to ASDF at example.com, I think is what it was before. Whoops, that needs to be a string. And we'll save that user. Okay, now I'm not going to accidentally show my real email address later. And then finally, we can delete all of that business. So what are we left with? We're left with cleaning up the env example file. That's good. We have done a refactor here to pull out the main aspect of the loop, the execute loop. So it's going to go through each of the accounts. It's going to grab a random entry, and then we will send the message to that account for that entry for today. I'll get back the message object, which it can then is used to actually store information about the prompt. So this is the refactoring part. All of this stuff is consistent. Then we move the logic down here, and we have our context, which I guess we can, since we're only gonna have two things, we can have it be one-liner. And then we have this weird business about normalizing this thing. We could, it's on 3 lines, and how about we do this? Paste that, call it delta, and then delta there. That'll make it 2 lines. And then we can put the comment. No, we'll leave the comment with this whole block. So this is a little bit clearer now about what we're normalizing. So we've got our time since from when to today. There's our delta. Okay. And then all of the rendering stuff is the same. All the message building is the same. The only difference is we return the message at the end because we need it up there for the prompt. So I think that's good. Let me just check it one more time. So here's the winner that helps us fix our actual problem that we were seeing. And then let's now run the tests again to make sure everything's good. Should get 100% this time. Cool. All right, let's add that. Let's commit this stuff. I'm going to deploy it. We'll review what we're going to talk about next time, which will be in a couple of weeks because there's a meetup next week and I'll be out. But let's see. fixed the non-breaking space that was causing Gmail to show view, what was it, view something? View entire message. And this fixes number 50. Push that up, and we're going to deploy it because I'm excited to see this tomorrow when I get my next prompt. Okay, while that's running, let's talk about what we're going to do in the future and put a couple more things in the queue about what we can fix. We're down to 28 issues. We're still on multiple pages. What's on the second page? Let's see if there's anything over here that we need to prioritize on. This is a future thing. This is really not needed until I'm doing a little bit more marketing and want pages that, like, I want to have the index page so that if somebody drops a link to it, it will provide some rich metadata. That's what this is about. We don't need a logo yet, so that's okay. So we're really focused on this page. There are 2 items still left on here, and one is about having a trial banner that is persistent on every page. The more I think about that, the more I don't think it's a priority right away, because we don't have enough pages for that to really matter. So I'm going to actually say let's not do that for the time being by clearing myself off of that one. So looking through here, I really want to do the import page because I want to be able to migrate off of my other service. This will be a fun opportunity to also explore, like, how do you limit certain stuff? Like, what's the appropriate amount? How many days should I allow in the service? Secret or not so secret, I think what I'm going to do is permit a reasonable lifetime. So 300, like, let's say you wrote every day for 100 years. So 365,000, or no, that's too many. 36,500, right? More or less, you know. I know there's leap year stuff. I think that's a reasonable amount to allow somebody. So, because what I need to do is protect against scenarios where somebody might, like, create a spam account and be like, you know what, I'm going to just dump in a bunch of data. And if you don't put any restriction on it, then they could create an unlimited number of rows in the table. That would be bad. So I got to put on some kind of limits on there for a total account size. So that'll be that. The other thing we'll have to do is do some validation on what do you do if somebody provides an import that has multiple entries on the same date. Do you reject those all outright? Do you reject the whole file? I don't know. I haven't really thought through that yet. The other thing about this is I also don't want to support having entries that are over a certain size. You know, I don't want people, like, putting entire books in a particular entry. That would be no good. So those are things that I'm considering. Number 25, John, you're saying? Make a user preference to pick the time zone. Okay, we could work towards that. So there's probably some sequencing that we'd have to do. All right, let me think through this. User preference to pick the time zone when the email is sent. So in order to get here, we have to know what time zone you're on, right? Because you're going to want to pick, or I'll just speak to myself. I don't remember what time zone you're in, John. I'm in the East Coast. I want to be able to have my setting of when do I receive my emails be context dependent, so that the hour that it gets sent out matches my expectation. So if I am saying on my settings page that I want my emails to go out at 8 in the morning or 10 in the morning, then it's important to me that it shows up that way. It doesn't show as UTC. So that would be not so good. So I think in order to make this one happen, we can do it, but we have to. There's like a couple aspects in here. There's the make the sending happen hourly. That's one thing. The other bit there is going to be there's includes with that some logic changes of like I'm just looking for the day, so it's like a finer query if we're like looking at hours, and then also that aspect of we have to know the user's time zone, and we can do that with TZ detect, which is a good package that I've used and helped actually publish a more recent version of it when it needed some deprecation updates. But I think that will be necessary. So let me see. Do I have one about TZ detect in here? I don't. Okay, so let's add that one. Take a step towards it. Was it on there? Did I miss it? 26, you said? Make preference page time zone aware. Yeah, that would be TZ detect. Thank you. So let's start. Let's like take steps towards this, and then that will enable us to get to this one, because that would be I agree, that would be a good thing if you want to get at a certain time. It's certainly a thing that we should do. So let's add this as add these two as maybe the next two to try. Put myself on there, but we will focus on the import thing first, just because I want it, and I think it would also be interesting to cover. And then we'll carry on. Okay, so we're done with the deploy. We've got stuff for next time, which again should be a couple of weeks. I'm out next week, but I should be able to be streaming the following week after that. I don't think I have anything particular going on. And we will work on imports, and then we'll start making stuff time zone aware. So to be able to set the time that people want to receive these emails out, that'd be a really good thing. Thank you all for joining in. Hopefully this was like interesting in like here's a gnarly problem that the thing I was trying to show here is not only to solve the problem, but the bisecting of the problem and narrowing it down of it could be this, it could be that. And if you just start whittling that down until you find exactly what it was, that could be the issue, and we got it down to it's that time sense thing, then we knew exactly what to inspect, and we could see very quickly, oh, there's the problem character. Now, maybe what I should have done, looking back, is what could we have done better? The thing we could have done better, perhaps, is start by inspecting the overall HTML thing, and we might have seen it right away of like, oh, that of all the characters in here, that one looks weird because it's got the backslash X, it's clearly an escape character, and we could have jumped right to it. Instead, we did more of a incremental approach to get there, which was a little slower, but fine. So hindsight's 20/20, as they say, and we'll try better in the future. If you enjoyed the stream this evening, please like, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. There's ways to catch up with me if you want to. I have a website which you can go read my book. You can order it online if you're so inclined. You can join here as a member on YouTube. You can join me on Patreon. There's all sorts of ways that you can support me if you think that my content is worthy of that. I just want to thank you again for joining in. It's been fun, and I'll see you next time. Take care.